Hello, everybody. Welcome into Backseat Drivers. I'm Alex Weaver here with Jonathan Merriman, and our driver on this episode is Corey LaJoie. You had a pretty strong run starting off in Richmond. We thought you were going to make some progress.
I thought so, too. We dropped the green, and we went to the front. I was behind Joey. Actually, Joey, for the first time in my Cup career, was holding me up. I gave him a couple bumper shots, and then
that, I'm sure.
Coincidentally, I'm sure he did not. Coincidentally, we come in, put 4 tires on, and attach the anchor for the rest of the night. Not sure what happened. We just lost the handle on our Keen Parts Ford Mustang, unfortunately, because it looked really good. I was wedged in between the 22 and the 24, which is a pretty good place to be, and it was looking pretty good until it didn't. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if the driver fell out of the seat or something happened to the chassis. I don't know. But after that, fun went way downhill. But it's okay. We'll take our lumps and go to the Roval this week.
Well, you guys have had a handful of weekends this year where, you know, you look up and the 32 car is 12th at Charlotte in the spring. And, I mean, in Richmond, you guys were hanging around 20th place there fighting for that for a while. So, I mean, more success this year for that team than in years past with, you know, a handful, you know, more than just one, you know, decent runs.
Yeah, so we run 6th at Daytona there once it rained out. A lot of guys got some good finishes there. So I'll take that one to the bank.
Were you hoping that one was going to start back up?
No, I honestly didn't think that we would finish any better than 6th. And if Jim France would have walked up to me before the race and said, hey, man, you could take a 6th and leave right now, I would have absolutely taken it. So I wasn't going to get greedy after that. Obviously, I would have liked to be in the position that Justin Haley was, because that would have really messed up the whole chase situation. But it wasn't in the cards. But 6th was my career best, as well as go fast. So anytime we can notch one of those in the books, no matter how we get it, is always good, right? And then, like you said, 12th at the Coke 600. Usually, I plan to be about 6 laps down in the Coke 600, let alone finish on a lead lap and finish in 12th. So that was really cool. And we've had a lot of top 20s, which is new to me, just because I'm slowly working my way up in better equipment each and every year, and Go Fast has been bringing me some fairly quick Mustangs.
Well, I know you don't like to talk about it. You don't like to beat your chest, but I think it's something that's well known in the garage. You're respected amongst your peers. You know, your newest car over there is 4 years old. You're rattling off some of these top 15, top 10 finishes in a car that's never done that before. You know, what could you do? What do you think you could do if you had something that was made this year by one of the big guys?
That's hard saying. I mean, there's so many factors beyond just having the chassis and the cars, right? I mean, you see, like this past weekend, you saw Gibbs run 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 95 may have fairly similar equipment, and he ran 15th, right? So you can have all the pieces of the puzzle, and you know, if just one little thing's off, then you don't have the success some of those guys have. So it takes the best motor package. It takes quality pit crews. It takes just a team that's behind you and making the right tweaks throughout the course of the race. So there's no telling. Obviously, I don't think we would run any worse than where we're at now if we had a little bit better engine packages as well as some newer cars. But it's all hypothetical because we got the cars we got, you know. And
but from a talent level, you think you're good enough to win in Cup?
I mean, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think so, right? And I have raced against the guys who are having success now, winning races in the past, and when we went toe-to-toe in fairly equal equipment, I was able to beat those guys, and they beat me sometimes as well. So, you know, like I said, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I was capable of doing it, because I'd just be clogging the seat up for somebody else to think they could win, because, you know, as much as I like to race cars for a living, on the flip side, I do want to be competitive in this sport and compete for wins and championships one day. And I honestly feel like I can do that, because you see a guy like Matt running well, and I'm running comparable to what he did last year in that same 32 car. So I don't know. We'll see. If it's in the cards, great. If not, then I'm going to keep just grinding and having fun and putting good weekends together when I can.
You always have a really good attitude, though. How do you not get frustrated? Like, how does it not come out in the personality?
When I'm on camera, I have to put a good I have to put a good attitude on.
He might see a little bit of your frustration.
No, he's always in a good mood.
Honestly, my wife sees probably that the most, just because I obviously am with her all the time, and that's where I vent, and that's where I show my frustration, or just kind of shut down and sit on the couch and not be very cheery, because when you have to talk in front of the camera, and you have to be a good representative of your partners and your sponsors and your race team, obviously there's there's thousands of people that want to be in my position where I'm at now, and it might not be ultimately where I would like to be, but right now it's a great opportunity that Go Fast has given me. So I got to keep that perspective, right? Because
you got to capitalize.
you got to capitalize, and I've worked my entire life and dreamt to be a cup driver, and now I get to do that every week. So it's easy to lose perspective of getting paid to drive in circles because there's only 40 guys that are doing it every Sunday, and there's probably only 20 guys that are legitimately getting paid to drive around and be representative of our sport. So I'm lucky to be one of those guys. And if you ask me about lap 100 any particular Sunday, I probably would not have that same answer. But for the most part, you have to try to keep it in perspective, and it's a really fun job. It's a really good sport to be a part of. There's a lot of really cool people, and I just love the relationships within the sport because that's the stuff that really matters.
Well, we want to talk to you about the playoff drivers too, because we think that you have a little bit more insight than possibly we can offer since you're on the track with them every weekend.
Fair enough.
You mentioned Joe Gibbs and them running 1, 2, 3, 4. The 20 obviously had some difficulties in post-race inspection, but are they the team to beat? Do you think that it's going to be a Joe Gibbs year this year?
Absolutely. I mean, they've won probably almost maybe
Over
one or two
50%,
less. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, over 50%. I was going to say about half. That's unbelievable. Obviously, they have some really good drivers over there, being Kyle, Martin, and Denny, and Eric. Yes, one of those four, I would probably say, is going to – they might have – actually, I was going to say they're going to have all four. Obviously, the 20 has to win this weekend to advance, but there's a good possibility 3 of those 4 Gibbs cars are in the Final Four.
Do you have them in your Final Four, all 3?
No.
You have the 19 out, don't you?
Before we started the playoffs, I was one of the ones who wrote off the 19 like an idiot, not remembering what they've done in years past. So I have the 18, 11, 9, and 4. That was my Final Four.
3.
Yeah. I mean, Toyota's just so fast right now. They're just dumping the money in the right areas. They keep developing that 550 horsepower engine as well as the 750, but they're making downforce. They're making their car drives good, and their drivers are on the wheel right now. So certainly those guys, I think, are the guys to beat. I don't even know which ones within that you would pick, whether it's the 19, 11, or 18, because any of those guys can have a good day at Homestead. So I don't know. I really don't know who that fourth one's going to be because it can go either way with Kevin Harvick pretty much owns Phoenix.
I had Joey in there, but I forgot about Harvick.
Harvick's solid at Phoenix. Joey's solid about everywhere.
Well, how can you pick 4? I mean, when you get down to Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix, I mean, you got Denny solid at Martinsville. Penske's figured that place out. Texas, that's kind of wide open. It's such a new surface. And then in Phoenix, Kevin's good there. So, I mean, that's going to be. Yeah,
for whatever reason, Penske hadn't shown the speed over the last month and a half. For
what do you
Joey
think's
to be.
happened there?
I don't know.
We were talking about them nonstop at the start of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, they figured it out a little bit quicker than everybody else, but everybody else caught up and maybe kind of surpassed them. They might have got a little bit complacent, whether it be developing different body builds or whatever. So I don't know. They have some really smart people and some really good drivers over there. I'm sure they're going to turn it around, and everybody is probably has those 1 or 2 little tricks in their toolbox that they're still going to pull out here when they need to. And it looks like Gibbs are pulling those out right now. And I don't think that had to do anything with the 20 failing post-race inspection. That was just being 1 or 2 thousandths over the threshold of where they needed to be after the race because they're pushing it, right? You don't run 1, 2, 3, 4 by just having a box stock car, right? They push the issue and push the envelope in every single aspect of the car. That's why they run fast every week. The guys that have that probably play the game within the rules are the ones that don't run quite as fast. So, there's lots of factors that are going in right now, and it's interesting to see.
Is there anybody that you're surprised is either in or out of the playoffs? I'm surprised by Jimmy. Obviously, I think everybody is.
Absolutely. I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's the first time he's been out of the playoffs,
Ever.
right? 14 years. That's crazy. I mean, in my opinion, I think Jimmy's the best to ever do it.
He's the GOAT. He's your GOAT.
He is the GOAT to me. I think because he's won in every different era of car, every different playoff package that we've thrown at him to try to let Jimmy not win the championship anymore. He's won it. So he's overcome that. And obviously, I would like to see him win 8 just to put himself on that pedestal because I think 10 years from now, we're going to be looking back at Jimmy Johnson and really people will realize they took him for granted because of the way he was a great ambassador for the sport as well as a race car driver. And just because he's not having the success we're used to seeing him have, people are kind of writing him off a little bit.
I feel the same way that you do about Jimmy, about Tony. I think Jimmy's the best stock car driver we've ever seen. I think Tony's the best race car driver of, his generation, his era. He's kind of like the A.J. Foyt, could kind of do it all, IndyCar,
That's a fair
Cup.
point.
You know what I mean? So
we can sit here and
yeah,
debate that.
yeah,
until the
armchair
cows come
quarterback.
home.
Oh,
So
yeah.
who are you taking as your all-time?
Of all time,
Stewart or the three?
I mean, I think you got to take Jimmy as all-time NASCAR. Oh, hands down.
No,
I mean,
just your all-time. You have a Intimidator 3 on the front of your truck. So is Tony Stewart your all-time?
I mean, it's
favorite
different.
racer?
It's a different era. I mean, I don't think you could,
No, you're
like he
backtracking.
said. No, I mean, you put Dale Earnhardt in his prime in these cars. Could he outrun Jimmy? I don't think so.
What about Tony?
That's a hot take there, bud.
Tony. I mean, I don't know. It's
At J_Merriman.
It's
if you
three
would like
different.
to
It's
tweet
three
it.
different eras. I think drivers have their era. I mean,
I agree, 100%.
I wouldn't want to have Dale Earnhardt behind me in any kind of race car because I think he could.
You don't
make
get
move,
branded
but-
the Intimidator
I mean,
for
but-
being a
Yeah,
nice person.
absolutely.
Yeah. I
How
mean,
about
but,
the shade that Dale Jr. put up on Instagram yesterday? Did you see that? Did you see that? You all saw what went on between the 88 and the 3,
yes,
right?
Yes, the donuts on the door.
The 88 jammed it 3 wide bottom in Richmond into 1.
Yeah.
Rubbed the 3, kind of nerfed them, right?
Well, I thought the
going
three,
for it.
3 pushed him down. I thought that was tit for tat there.
It just funnels down in there, right?
Yeah.
And anytime somebody jams it in there in the bottom, it gets you aggravated because that's kind of like a common courtesy thing. Like, okay, we're running probably 8th or 9th row bottom there, so they're racing for 20th. So you're being courteous to the guy in front of you because you have the opportunity to jam it the bottom there because the bottom stacks up. So anytime somebody stacks it on the bottom, you're like, damn it, like I could have blocked you, I could have jammed it on the inside of that guy in front of me, but I didn't. So Alex was the first guy that did that, right? And he kind of nerfed them and racing. That's part of it, right? Rubbin's racing. Well, when this car passed guys like that, they didn't turn around and dump him the next
Yeah,
corner.
and they thought it was badass too. Because I was listening to his podcast where he had Keselowski on, and Keselowski was talking about when he was racing street stocks, if you ever put a donut on somebody's car, they'd fight you because those guys are doing all they can to get to the racetrack on a street stock, which is one of the lowest levels of racing you do at a short
And
track.
those guys are particular about their decals
Yeah,
too.
but he said late model people didn't care. I mean, late models, you tear up late models all the time, and that's a more expensive race car to fix. So
So was Dale? He was shading Bowman, right?
He was shading.
he was shading Austin.
Austin.
Oh,
But
okay.
but I remember that
Because- yeah.
Dale said him and Kerry the first time that they put a donut, I think it was at Myrtle Beach or something, on their street stock. They were taking pictures in front of it and they thought it was awesome because it looked like the big guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just
It's funny how that's changed a little bit. Because now, I don't know when that change was, but it's like, it does get you a little more aggravated than, like, when somebody nerfs me in a cup race, I get more aggravated than I did when somebody nerfed me in a late model. Because you're racing on short tracks, right? I guess you kind of expect it in a late model just because the real estate gets tight a lot of the time. So when guys are side drafting really tight and they actually hit you, you're like, damn it, man. But you're also so reliant on your body builds nowadays, and when your right front fender gets caved in a quarter of an inch, the balance of your car just shifts. So it's unfortunate that we rely so much on air, but that's just part of the game. It's always been part of the game, but now it's even more so relevant. But so it's, for whatever reason, when somebody runs into you, any cup driver now seems like any time there's contact, they just go the complete other side and retaliate, whether it's spinning somebody out or stuffing somebody in the fence.
We're also surprised at Ryan Newman, how he's been doing this playoff
He's
season.
been on the wheel. Old Rocket Man has
He just
been.
consistently runs
he won't
in
go
the
away.
top 10 every day or every race.
Ever.
He's
never gonna go
I
away.
classify him like a splinter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's
And
there.
then like your skin grows over, but still in there.
He's nagging
Ryan
you.
Newman's
You know
still
it's
in
there.
there,
Yep.
pecking away.
So, realistically, how far can Newman make it?
If he runs like he has been, where do you run at Vegas?
I think he can make
Probably
it.
ran-
I think he can make it into the round of 8.
You have to win to get to Homestead.
if that 6 car can make it to the round of 8, that is impressive.
That's definitely checking all the boxes for
sure.
what they were set out to do this
Yeah.
year. I'm sure. So
I think making the playoffs checked the box for what that 6 team expected.
for sure. But they've had a couple things in their toolbox they've pulled out and
Yeah.
made some speed in that 6 car. So I think everybody likes to see Ryan Newman run good. I think they like to see different guys run good than the normal band
Yeah.
of characters, right? Because we've seen Joey run good for the last couple of years. We've seen Harvick dominate and all the Gibbs cars dominate. So it's good to get Ryan Newman in there, especially Newman being as wide as he likes to make his car.
That's what I like.
Mess some stuff up.
I mean, because he's fast enough to make it hard on everybody else, and nobody wants to see somebody run off with it, or you know what I mean.
The only time I've ever been frustrated at him was in Bristol.
For doing his job.
I know. And
See, if he probably wasn't thinking about this at the time. He might have, because he thinks about every single thing that
does.
happened. If the 95 wins that race, right, he's probably on the
Out.
outside looking in.
Yeah.
So there was calculated moves there, and he wasn't going to make it easy. I don't
Yeah.
think that was his fault, because at the end of the day, if you run in the back of somebody on the highway, you get the ticket. So I don't think that Matt timed that particularly well, but he thought that he was out there, and Ryan Newman didn't think he was, and that kind of happened. So it was a benefit to the 6 and not so much to the 95.
All right, well, back to Corey. You're nicknamed the Shoe, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So why?
Do
Do you wear a lot of shoes? Do you have a lot of
No,
shoes?
I don't have I probably have more shoes than my wife, but my wife doesn't have a lot of shoes. I probably have a couple more pairs of shoes than a normal man, I guess.
What's a couple more?
I
Like
probably
2?
I probably have 8 to 10 pairs of shoes.
How many shoes do you have?
I probably have 7 or 8
8 to
pairs of
10.
shoes, but I wear boots I wear the same pair of boots every day. I got a pair of sneakers. I
You
got
have
a
how
pair
many
of yard shoes.
total?
Probably 7 or 8.
I might have more than that.
I got
might
like
have
a couple
12.
pair of dress shoes, and like you got to have your yard shoes. You got to have your
I
cowboy
don't think I
boots,
could even put a number.
and you got to have your nice tennis shoes that look
Right.
good. Where you
Right.
walk through the airport, you don't look like a bum.
There you go. So, yeah, I got coined that from one of my dad's friends when I was younger. It was probably 13 or 14. I was winning a lot of races. So, when you're a good wide receiver, they call you hands. You're a good driver, they call
But
you
you're not terrible at
shoe.
football either.
I can
Talk
throw a
about that
football
later.
pretty well. Did you see me?
Dude,
Did you see me
serious.
with the Harlem Globetrotters this weekend? In
I
Richmond?
saw you hit the shot.
I did.
Nice jump shot.
Bubba missed the first 4 shots he took for the record, but I digress. So I got coined Super Shoe, and then that was kind of fitting because I was winning some races and living up to the nickname, and then I got into NASCAR and started driving other people's race cars and not winning as much as anymore. So I dropped the Super, kept the Shoe. I mean, Logano still calls me Shoe, and a lot of people call me Shoe, so I've kind of kept that, and it's actually rolled in pretty good to that Samaritan's Feet charity I've been working with,
Yep.
providing shoes for guys in need. So we've raised, about $180,000 for those
You
guys.
raised a lot of money at once.
Before we get into that, best nickname ever in NASCAR, worst nickname ever in NASCAR.
Oh, that's a good question.
The
Tiny.
Intimidator's
I like
pretty
Tiny Lund.
Is good or bad?
Good.
What about
Um,
the worst?
The worst. I don't know. What's your opinion of worst?
I don't know. I mean, I get
Smoke's a pretty cool nickname.
Smoke's
Smoke is awesome.
Smoke Intimidator, or and the King.
Yeah.
And what's Jimmy's? Jimmy's is the GOAT or Superman. I mean,
Down.
I
you
think
know.
I call him Goat.
yeah. But I think the worst.
I don't call him that. I just call him Jimmy.
Someone nicknamed Anthony Alfredo Fast Pasta. Alan Cavana tried
pretty
calling
bad.
him the Sauce. I don't think
I don't
that's
know.
good.
Actually, so if you're on the topic of new nicknames, Cindric the Entertainer is pretty bad.
Well,
Yeah.
see, but that's going to stick because
Dale Jr.
because
said it.
Dale
Dale.
Jr.
Right.
said it.
Just like,
so
my job.
that's written in red.
Yeah. That's right.
So,
Yeah.
Every fan
those
will
red
refer to
words.
it as
Yep,
Cindric the Entertainer.
and then I get Joey's, being the next best thing since sliced
I gave
bread,
him that
but
nickname.
man, oh man, I mean,
did?
talk. Yeah, I mean, but sliced bread. I just think about a piece of white bread. Like,
if he gave him that,
well,
you're hating on
we
him.
can
That's
agree
fine.
to
It's
disagree.
corny.
Yeah.
It's corny. That's part of the
You
reason
think
why I
that's
gave
the
it to him.
worst?
I mean, yeah, you're being compared to it. Like, I just think of like a loaf of white bread.
No, it's just a saying.
But
Yeah,
the meaning
yeah.
behind it is
I know,
like,
but that's
you
not
are
what
great.
That's not where it takes me visually.
Fair enough.
Do you
Slice-
picture like Logano's head on a loaf
Like
of
I
bread?
would like I don't know. I mean, he squints a lot. Why not call him Squints like from The Sandlot?
Because that's derogatory.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I hope you get all the tweets this episode. Can't wait.
No, we're not calling them squints.
I think Intimidator and Smoke are the best ones.
Yep, smoke's good.
Smoke, yeah,
Who
because you don't
wouldn't
want to
wanna
mess
be
with
called
smoke.
Okay, now back to your Samaritans.
Yeah,
Samaritan's
you
Feet.
got a cool promotion running this weekend
The
at
Roval.
track.
Yeah.
We ran the Samaritan's Feet car at Watkins Glen a couple weeks ago, and we're doing it again at Charlotte. Got
Did
some
you
local-
expect it to get that much money?
No. The original goal was to raise 20 grand,
Yeah.
and it ended up raising 128 grand that weekend. So then the last couple weeks I've been hitting the pavement around Charlotte, hitting up some local partners and some sponsors to help us make this Samaritan's Feet car go again at the Roval, and the racetrack kindly gave us a suite to whoever helped out. We could put them up there, so we ended up having about 8 or 9 companies help out there, so that's really cool.
That's awesome.
And then
Well,
we're
that's
doing
a cool thing about the garage too. Is like
yeah,
everybody
everybody's
jumped
banding
on
together.
that.
Yeah, we got several real estate companies and Clean Juice and a couple internal sponsors that helped out as well. So it took a lot to raise that amount of money, and it was a lot of hard work by everybody at Samaritan's Feet as well as myself. So I'll hopefully see that play out again. And we're doing, instead of donating to my Hope Givers page through Samaritan's Feet, we're doing a thing called Shoe Stakes, where I got a bunch of drivers. Dale Jr. gave me a pair of shoes. Chase, Kyle Busch, Blaney, Bubba. There's about 12 of us on there that signed our racing shoes. And if you donate $25, you get a chance to win one of those guys' shoes. So go check it out, SamaritansFeet.org/shoestakes.
You're a good guy. That's
You are a
awesome.
good guy. All right. Well, on the track at the Roval, what can we expect? It's a little bit different. It
Yeah.
was a mystery last season. Now it's going to be even more of a mystery this season. The backstretch is different.
Yeah, so the chicane's different.
Yep.
Now it's actually a chicane instead of like a little
Drink word of the weekend is chicane.
chicane.
Four
But
shots.
it's going to be obviously much slower. I think that's going to be what a chicane is supposed to be. It's just another braking zone to jam everybody up and make some more exciting just spots of the race.
Yep.
I'm just going to try to do what Bubba did not do last year, is just
Yeah.
try to keep all the fenders on my car.
Yeah.
And literally, I'm not much of a road course specialist per se, because I've only done 3 road course races in my entire life. This will be my 4th. So I don't plan on going to go up there and try to pass Kyle Busch. I'm going to try to keep all 4 tires on the asphalt and see where that stacks up. And then with all the stuff I learned throughout the course of that race, if there's a caution or we're within striking distance at the end, get on the wheel and make it happen.
Appreciate you being here. All right, it's an exciting week this week coming up in Charlotte. We're racing at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's America's home for racing. Sunday, 2:30 p.m. on NBC. Check out Corey. He'll have your feet and names on the car, and go get your name on the car, and you can see it racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway.